Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you had a good lunch so that you could have a good time to listen to us. I want to as an introduction, I want to talk about the background of this topic. You know, ladies and gentlemen, global warming is unlikely to stay below the internationally agreed limit of 2 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial levels. Integrated assessment modeling offers insights into how carbon transition can be achieved. Asia is highly vulnerable to climate change and accounts for a growing share of the world's greenhouse gas emission. As of 2019, Asia is home to the biggest emitters and accounts for 44% of global emissions, no matter whether other regions rapidly reduce emission targets under the Paris Agreement goal of limiting global mean temperature rise, well below 2 degrees centigrade. I would like to ask each and every one of my panelists, how would they understand decarbonization and net zero as to the pillars, challenges, barriers, opportunities? I would ask each and every one of you to talk about decarbonization in accordance with your company's activities. May I ask to start from you, sir?
Hello everyone, my name is Jerry Cui. I'm coming from SolaX Power. And SolaX Power is a global leading manufacturer for renewable energy products, include solar inverters, lithium batteries, and solar EV chargers. Regarding on this topic, I want to share some point of view from my side regarding from the manufacturer side. Because zero carbon neutral is the global trend, and I believe for the European market, the American market is already in this way for a long time, but so Southeast Asia we are just on the way. But the good point is the Asia Pacific is still very booming developing countries for the regions, and we can see all the government have ambitious planning regarding this pace to carbon neutral. So this is a good opportunity. I believe all the guests here participate in this vision. And the event is also have strong confidence to this part. And as a manufacturer side, we hope can keep doing invest our innovations and R&D, keep investing to produce the more cost-friendly product, and also supply the best services to all partners in the region. It's my point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Somboon from Altervim. From the Altervim perspective, I might separate into two things. Because Altervim is a renewable energy developer and investor under the CP Group. So for Altervim itself, I think we see decarbonization as a thing to accelerate the investment, and yes, it's an opportunity for every developer company to participate in this trend, try to build a solution, try to bring the technology, try to create a benefit to the customer, particularly in the Southeast Asia where we have a laggard of the development in this area. But from my parents' company perspective, I think in terms of the CP Group, I think decarbonization is meaning more than the challenging and the target. For CP Group, we are the leading conglomerate in Thailand, and we pledge ourselves globally on the carbon neutrality and net zero by 2030 and 2050. And by means of the conglomerate, I think we have a large diversify of the business. Since the upstream agricultural and food, we invest in the retail, I think 7-Eleven, Macro, Lotus. We have a telecommunication company through corporation. We have data center, logistic, last mile delivery. So in the means of decarbonization, I think the challenge of the CP is that how we can find the solution that can come across every business activities. So if you can imagine manufacturing and the retail shop, they require significantly different in terms of the solution and the characteristic of the low demand. While if we see in the farm feed food business, I think that's totally different. While we see the EV charging station and EV business booming, that support to the logistics. But in the bottom line, I think decarbonization in the conglomerate, I think that the challenge internally and also into the supply chain that we need to see and open to the partner, to the strategic technology partner, to the developer, to all the investors to help us to reach the goal together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. So our company NEFIN, we are a developer and also an IPP specializing in helping corporates achieve the carbon neutrality goals. We work as a advisory firm that we will enter discussion and do a so-called carbon health assessment with corporates, understanding their decarbonization strategy and path from now until end of 2030. And by so understanding, we will carve out a very precise roadmap with the corporates to understand the demands, depending on the standards that they use. For some popular standards like SBTi, they have several carbon neutral scope 1, 2, 3 requirements. So typically, they handle the scope 1 by themselves, but we do it together. And we tend to handle the scope 2 and scope 3. So we work with MNC on a very strategic level. At the moment, we focus in Pan-Asia, strictly Pan-Asia. And what we are currently able to offer is only the energy portion from the NEFIN standpoint. So technically, it's using our green electrons that we produce to decarbonize the factories or the assets. Of course, in some ways, we actually work with a rig right there, converting into racks, and we do it using the racks to decarbonize the corporate. So it's a pretty extensive strategy that we normally work by introducing different solutions from maybe solar panel on the roof, from water collection, from implementing battery storage, even simple things like HVAC optimization. These are some of the approaches that we will adopt. So that's the NEFIN way on the company.
Okay, can you give a briefer?
Yes, good afternoon everyone. So my name is Dufrenne. I'm the head of business development for Greenergy Thailand and Greenergy in Southeast Asia. So similar to Glenn and NEFIN, Greenergy is an investor and operator specialized in energy transition. So we're helping our customers, so retail industry, corporate facilities, to reduce their carbon footprint, CO2 emissions. So we have two main offerings to achieve that. Private B2B solar PPA self-consumption in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and in the Philippines, helping the customers to consume a greener source of energy, cheaper, because we offer a discount compared to the grid price, of course. And we also launch energy efficiency programs, mainly focusing in Asia on the cooling systems. So cooling as a service that we operate under the BOOT model, the BOOT. So we will finance, build, operate, and guarantee the performance of the assets, whether it's solar or a cooling as a service. So in a nutshell, this is what we do. We help our customers to reduce their CO2 scope 2 emission.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David. So I'm responsible for the activities of Amarenco in the region. I will not extend too much. It's quite similar with what has been mentioned so far. So we are an IPP. About the thematic of this panel, decarbonization challenges. So it's a complex challenge. We are not talking about changing the way we consume and we manage our emissions. It comes with also better consumption, so energy efficiency that has been mentioned, other kinds of technologies that we need to incorporate. On my side, I'm a solar expert, let's say. We are mainly solar focused, but as it has been mentioned this morning, and I'm more than let's say, I'm more than confident that it needs to be that way. It's not a solar only, it's not a storage only, it's not a wind only, it's all together. That's how things get a little bit more complex. But opportunities are on digitalization, are on being able to manage in an intelligent way these different streams in order to provide solutions to the corporates. Definitely the corporates are pushing forward. They are getting more expert also, they have a better understanding, which makes our work a little bit easier. And then decarbonization is about a must, we have to do it. It's not just because people we started to say it would be great to better consume it, we have to do it. There is climate urgency, and one of the points that I will say it's less positive, even though there are opportunities, is that everything comes with reporting now. You need to be able to report, to show every single day, month, year, what is your progress, what is your plan, and even the reporting on the reporting side is not yet very clear. There are different types, different solutions, different approaches. Science-based solutions are definitely the ones that we need to use, but even at that point, it's not yet very consensual. But definitely, it's about multiple solutions and offers working together.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Chaudhary. I head the business for Black & Veatch here in Asia. For some of you who might not have heard the name of Black & Veatch or not familiar with what we do, we are a US-based company with a rich history of 109 years. Engineering and construction, but we also do early stage development on solar and other kind of assets, including data centers. So we develop those assets, but that's a small portfolio of what we do. Important is, sometimes people ask me, why do I attend these forums actually? And once there was somebody who said, I think the amount of time that you spend on a flight, the CO2 footprint that you generate, do you really think this kind of forum saves that money? And my answer is yes, because we need to talk about it. The impact of climate change, we are not seeing it fully because CO2 has no borders. Anything, let's take example, one country generates, impacts everybody. And as we all know, CO2, once generated in the atmosphere, remains there for thousands of years. And Ruth, you talked about 2019, where APAC was contributing to around 46%. The latest number is we have crossed 50. Now, yes. Do we want to be proud about it? I don't think so. The other stuff is the energy demand in Asia. We all know we are in a region where we have a very young population, which is aspiring for growth. We are a growing region. The growth of energy in Asia is going to be more than 60%, which means whatever new renewable that we are developing is going to even fall short of just keeping with the demand that we will have. So the question is, the assets that we have, what do we do with that? What do we do decarbonizing it? And the future ones that we build, how do we build more clean energy? So Black & Veatch, we exited the coal business in 2020. Here in Asia, when I joined the company in 2019, we used to have 85-90% of our revenue coming out of coal. But bold move by the company, we stepped out, and I tell you, that was the best thing that we did as a company. We have moved into new areas, cleaner energies, renewable, green hydrogen, pump hydro power plants, LNG to power, more cleaner fuels, and we have never seen better growth for us as a company. So a lot of people who fear, if I stop something, what's in store for me? I think just make the start. I think we can achieve a lot together.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Rick from Saxon Renewables. we are actually part of SolaX, which we have two colleagues that have already given their speech sharing this morning. So we are sustainability advisory firms. We are helping corporates or the SMEs to achieve their renewable energy targets or to achieve their emissions reductions goals. So there are a lot of the goals in terms of sustainability in every corporates. And you will always see that to hitting the renewable energy targets and also to become carbon neutrality is one of the greatest targets. So we are providing all these reporting measurings of consultancies. We are helping them to source the VPPA. Some of the countries like Taiwan CPPA, in Vietnam DPPAs, or to help them to source for the RECs or carbon credits in order to help them to achieve their goals. And we have very comprehensive of RECs and carbon credits portfolios across the whole Asia. We have ready whatever clients needs or what kind of technologies or vintage, we have all of them to help them to achieve their sustainability targets.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. So with the representation of all the private sectors here, I think decarbonization will be have a great pathway. But talking about pathways and barriers of decarbonization, what is the role of the private sector in decarbonization, and what could also be the role of the government? Can anyone answer this? Yes?
Yeah, let me take this.
Yes.
Okay, in the RECs sectors, we have seen that how the demand of the large corporates have driven the government's change of their policies. For example, the greatest demand of Singapore's corporates that they are in needs of the renewable energy in order for them to achieve their targets. So they are pressuring the Singapore's governments, and it's like if Singapore governments you can't provide sufficient renewable energies in the regions, then our companies cannot achieve our targets, then we may want to leave the countries. So from what we can see recently, like for example in Malaysia, from the past few months, there are a lot of the renewable energies programs and policies coming up. There's a third parties access. There's in centrals, they have a centralized solar parks, 500 megawatts. Recently, they have 1,000 of megawatts programs announced in the Malaysia and Singapore parks. And all of them are waiting for the TPA, the third party access. And the main corporates off-takers are those large corp that they are in strong pressures to acquire renewable energies. And recently, they have Microsoft and Google's coming into Malaysia, and one of the criteria that they coming into Malaysia is we need renewable energies. So without renewable energies, we won't come into these countries. So from there, we can see that how the corporates is able to pressure the governments to do changes in order to accommodate on the private sector side. Yeah, that's my thought.
Do you mean that the government must join us? And on what kind of scheme do the private sector and the government could work together?
I mean, there's a problem which really requires all stakeholders, not just the government and the private sector, but also the public to come together, because there is a price. Now, whether that price is paid directly or indirectly, this is something which people need to realize. The government is in a fix. I mean, we talk about the energy trilemma, right? Affordability is one of them, availability is there, sustainability is there. How do we empower the private sector to go and invest? I mean, policies, consistent policies, not just in one country, across is important. Imagine if there's a carbon tax in one country, and if the rest of the neighbors, they don't do it, the fear in that country is, hey, all my investors will move to the neighboring country. I also believe that we are working in isolation in trying to find a fix, also from the technology perspective. Can we bring the molecules, electrons and microbes together? A lot of time we are trying to solve, solar is doing its own game, battery energy storage doing its own game. We talk about green hydrogen, we talk about green ammonia. There's so many things which is happening around. How do we bring all these technologies together and make the best of every electron that is being produced? I mean, many of you might be electrical engineers here, you know. If you generate electricity, you don't consume or store it, it's gone. So how do you make the best use of every electron generated? Solar by itself, we know is not base load. A couple of hours in a day, it can never feed whatever is needed. But what we are seeing trend in developing countries is solar for whatever hour is available, or wind, or any other renewable source being used as the first line of generation. But for that, you need a reliable grid. And once you use that, then the next step is to have gas-fired power plants as being used as peaker. In Asia, it's the reverse. We have coal-fired power plants as base, gas-fired power plants in some countries, and renewable is more like, most of the time being underutilized. Look at all the countries in Southeast Asia. So I think there is a policy requirement, but also the private sector needs to bring its thought together and bringing the best technology. A lot of people look at green hydrogen and say, that's super expensive. But if you are having a lot of renewable energy which is going unutilized, green hydrogen is a good energy storage and can earn good revenue.
Okay, thank you. But I ask somebody, Mr. Jerry, my question is about trade. Trade is one of the greatest emitters of greenhouse gas emission. Do you think what is the pathway in order that we could reduce greenhouse gas emission? The model, the pathway, do you have any idea what model is it?
Yes, regarding this point from manufacturer side, we are still need to introduce more new technique. Because right now we can say that renewable energy for these 2 to 3 years, there seems no any innovation recently. We still need some technically breakthrough, so we can get like the gentleman shared. Because renewable energy currently, if you you calculate the cost, is still compared to like hydro, like some traditional energy cost is still not that efficient enough. So from the factory side, from the manufacturer side, still need to more leading technique to break through. Then we can shorten the gap and also decrease the cost to general. And from our, we also right now we calculate in China, because China utility scale project is very huge, and currently this year's the Chinese market, the volume will be around 250 gigawatt level. Right now we already calculate the cost, and can see that the solar in terms of cost is already the same level as a fossil fuel electricity generating cost already. So it's still maybe less than the hydro, but it's already a good trend.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have only 10 minutes left. But there is one question that I would ask each and every one of you regarding energy transition and energy mix. What is the most ideal energy mix in each country, and what is the best technology for energy transition? Can we talk all about this? Everybody, for the 10 minutes. What is the best percentage for energy mix as against fossil fuel?
Thank you guys for giving me the hot potato. To be honest, I don't have the answer. What's the best energy mix? I've been brought up in France, where all the energy is from nuclear, so they can be very controversial, but it's completely not emitting any CO2. I think there is space for a mix with renewable, whether it's wind, solar, nuclear. A lot of countries are considering this technology. Even in Thailand, I heard that they're considering nuclear for the years to come. Of course, we need to eliminate fossil fuel, coal and liquefied gas. This cannot happen over time. So I think also we also need to help the people, depending on coal, like Indonesia, China. You can do a lot of improvement on the coal-fired plants. You cannot shut them down overnight, but you can do a lot of improvement for them to emit less CO2 and reduce their emissions. So in terms of financing, people talk a lot about green financing, and mentally and consciously you think of financing a PV solar plant, wind farm, whatever, but green financing also should apply to this kind of old coal plant which pollute a lot and help them to improve, reduce their CO2 emission until eventually we can live without coal. But overnight it's not possible. So it's my take. Of course, we need to push for renewable energy. To circle back on the question, governments needs to really give the right incentives, right policies so that we can expand. For instance, in Thailand, the market is rather limited. It's big but limited because it's only self-consumption. So we hope for the opening of the peer-to-peers or third-party access, corporate PPA, as it is in Vietnam and in other countries. And there is many things we can do. It's also a question of mindset. You see in Thailand, people are still building a lot of new condo, high-rise building, but still using simple glass. It's cheaper, but if you use triple glass, then in the long run you will make money. But, so it's also a question of mindset, and mindset cannot be changed overnight. So it's really bit by bit, and we all, even if we compete sometime in the same market, I think everybody contributes to bit by bit to reduce slowly but surely the CO2 emission. So that's my take.
So we have to retire all the coal power plants? Is that what you mean? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, look, I mean, every country is so different, right? If we just look at the 10 countries in Southeast Asia, they're so demographically so different. So retiring coal plants, I think, is the ultimate goal, but can we do it today? As Steven mentioned, I think it's practically going to be very, very difficult for the government to make that goal. But what could be done is there are technologies on carbon capture. Can we decarbonize them? There are technologies on co-firing. I mean, on both on gas-fired power plant with cleaner fuels like green ammonia, green hydrogen. Can we use that? There is repurposing of coal plant. I mean, there are a couple of studies that we are doing right now on major coal plants where you could repurpose them gradually in a phased manner to be able to make them much more cleaner before you eventually retire them. So if you ask me what's the optimum energy mix for every country, to be honest, there is not a single formula which can be followed by every country. It's going to be different, and that's where the industry needs to come together, work with the policy regulators in finding what's the best. There are low-hanging fruits which every country can capture, but once those lands which are there for solar development, wind development, they are taken, and if the growth continues to be there, all the coal plants get retired, then what next? Land becomes very expensive, right? And there will be social issues. We are seeing in US actually, in US there are some communities which are now coming up and opposing, saying, hey, I don't want to give my land actually. And those things will happen in densely populated countries. So no one formula. I think every country has its own challenges, but also opportunities. How do we bring everything together and make the best use out of it?
Okay. Do you have some another thing?
Okay. So no formula. Sorry.
No formula.
But in my view, again, this question of decarbonization, we have. So I've been working almost 20 years on the renewables, and it's been amazing how things have evolved since the price per watt or any equipment production to the efficiency and the capacity to solve some problems. So we have some land issues, as you mentioned. Today we are talking about agri-solar, agri-PV that has been mentioned this morning. So there is a way also to bring solutions to continue to deploy. For sure, we are going to deploy massive gigawatts of solar, wind at certain scale. That's a fact. My concern and challenge is to say, when I do manage a project or when I do look at an opportunity, it's a medium long-term opportunity. You cannot develop a project in 6 months, 12 months. We have all seen the different countries, different policies, changes over time, geopolitical crisis, interest rates on which we are unfortunately very dependent on because it's a very intensive, capital-intensive activity. So there is a challenge for all of us to properly manage our portfolio, manage our investments, and accommodate it as much as we can. and definitely bring it to multi offers. I need to come back on that. There is no solar only, there is no storage only, there is everything working together, and digitalization will certainly help for that. And I do believe that digitalization will help to make the bridges and to connect these different solutions that need to come together.
Thank you. On my take, I would recommend some policy tools for pathways for decarbonization. First, countries must devise and implement ambitious, creative, and effective strategies from carbon pricing, financing, and green energy transition. Reduce tariffs and trade restriction on environmental goods and services to promote allocations of resources to a more carbon efficient production with increasing environmental awareness and regulation. Promote transfer of technologies. This must be measured, such as tariff and environmental provision and trade and investment agreements. Accelerate trade facilitation and logistics reforms to reduce delays and borders and remove bottlenecks along the supply chain. Sustainable and resilient trade and transport facilitation, including cross-border paperless trade implementation. Strengthen international cooperation to maximize effectiveness and minimize costs and green transition. Lastly, government must develop more efficient and effective policy frameworks by leveraging the trade and climate nexus, promoting green finance and pathways to net zero. Thank you, gentlemen, for this opportunity to talk with you and present your ideas on decarbonization and sustainable energy future. I hope we could still meet the next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain.